Spectrovision Radio.
This week on WASTOIDS TV,
just keep hearing the word Bob.
Slack Off with the High Priest of Weirdness, the Reverend Ivan Stang of the Church of the Subgenius.
I am so sick and tired of looking at Bob's face.
Founded in Texas in the 1970s by Stang and Philo Drummond, Subgenius brought Bob to the world. In our exclusive interview, the Reverend joins us to discuss culture jamming the mainstream and forming an alliance with Akron art punks, Devo.
Bob Dobbs controlled Devo. Right when things were starting to get good, he fucked us up, man.
Take back the slack.
The Church of the Subgenius is no Bucoid deal.
And rediscover the secret history of the Subgenius. Only on WASTOIDS TV.
I was getting messages in the back of my brain. I just kept hearing the word Bob.
A glowing beacon of slack amidst the turmoil and darkness. It's J.R. Bob Dobbs, the living slack master and his Church of the Subgenius.
Yeah, so thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Thanks for chatting with us about this. You had mentioned, to get started, that you contacted Devo via the Church of Subgenius. How did you originally reach out to them?
Long story short, my buddy Dr. Philo Drummond and I had just published Subgenius pamphlet number 1.
He recruited two randomly selected nobodies, Dr. Philo Drummond and Ivan Stang.
Basically, the church is so omnipervasive that we couldn't possibly get into the dogma in any less than 3 or 4 hours.
This would have been late 1980 maybe. So I mailed the pamphlet to Club Devo and thinking, well, it'll blow their minds. That's the only thing we made the original Subgenius pamphlet for, was to blow people's minds. We didn't think it would ever do anything but that. And so oddly enough, I got this postcard back from Mark Mothersbaugh saying, what the hell? You guys are like us. And he was very, very friendly and supportive. I sent him some videos of my animation, including an underground movie I did when I was like 19 called Let's Visit the World of the Future.
You've been so good today that now we're going to watch a cartoon.
For excitement, adventure, business opportunities, and a real nice place to raise the kids. We're there already. Let's visit the world of the future.
Which had really violent Ken and Barbie stop motion.
Each executive has a monkey demon on his back. It makes him work hard. And each demon has another demon on his back. And those demons have demons.
Calling all nerve cells and thought patterns. Activate yin-yang dichotomies and manic depressive brain circuits. We'll have a hell of a good party, guys.
Well, he saw that, and it kind of blew his mind because they wanted to do exactly that kind of thing in Love Without Anger. And he asked me if I could get it to him in a couple of weeks for $1,500. And I said yes.
Barbie again in a great big fight. Seems Camp got to make it home one night. You know what you will see and simply can't be right. Looks like love spark is worse than its bite.
And I very quickly rented a camera, got my artist buddy John Hagenbrenner to build a little set. I got to work animating this little 30-second segment. There was some funny stuff happened in the middle of that, and if you really look at the scene, you'll see these glitches. For one thing, I learned the hard way that you have to nail Barbie's shoes down every time she takes a step, and she has to be supported by aerial brace wires. So, I mean, it was really difficult. But I managed to walk her over to Ken, and she throws a frying pan that was on a little wire. And at one point in the script, Jerry Casale said that she pulls Ken's legs off. Well, the Ken was actually a G.I. Joe. This is an old G.I. Joe from a different film from my Subgenius MTV commercial.
Here's the Barbie and Ken set. Ken ain't gonna look so good pretty soon. Same with Barbie. They can't go anywhere.
But it's the same situation. We put a Ken head on a G.I. Joe. They fit pretty well. The G.I. Joe was easy to animate, but when it came down to pull his legs off, I had forgotten that they're held together by one rubber band. It goes from the head to the arms and the legs. I clipped the leg part, and the whole arms and head fell off. So I had to pull it all out, re-rig the whole thing, and you can see his head kind of vibrates and jiggles like that throughout the entire scene. It was just nightmarish.
Yeah,
but we got it done, and you can hardly tell. And there's a little tiny picture of Bob on the set, kind of like that one. Slogan that I just came up with yesterday: "Woke up, sleeple." Proud of that.
So with Devo, I mean, obviously those guys, they were on the cutting edge. They were doing weird stuff. They were attracted to the weirdness of what you were doing, but that wasn't anything new to you.
No, what was new to me was dealing with my heroes. I loved Devo from their very first album. Look, I was just a poor, hard-working guy at that time with two brand new little kids, trying to make ends meet, trying to do the Subgenius stuff at the same time. I was like the character in Eraserhead, really. And Devo's music I'd be driving around doing these horrible jobs, and that music would make me feel like a weirdo can make it. Really crazy stuff can make it.
Bob Dobbs, he controlled Devo. He fucked us up, man. Right when things were starting to get good, we were getting, top 10, top 20 singles every album. Then Bob Dobbs steps into the picture and grabs the steering wheel. And like one day I woke up and I just saw cigarette stains on my finger, and I went, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. And I realized it was Bob Dobbs.
Strangely enough, when we were shooting interviews for this Subgenius documentary by Sandy Boone that came out about 3 years ago, she interviewed Jerry Casale and me. And Jerry at one point said, Devo was a failure. We never were that big. And I just exploded and said, dude, you're so wrong. You probably kept half of us alive. And he was so glad to hear that. He had been feeling pretty bad about the whole thing. I've noticed they're now back on tour.
It's hard for me to wrap my head around this notion that really weird, really subversive art, like the art you were making, like the art that Devo was making. So there was this moment in maybe the 80s into the 90s where you could kind of really culture jam the mainstream a little bit. Does it feel like that moment has passed, or is it weirder now? What's it like for you?
Well, it's changed completely because of the internet. We could be a big fish in a small pond for a while there. Well, the pond got a lot bigger.
Yeah.
It helped the Church of the Subgenius tremendously getting online. It gave us a new shot in the arm, you might say. And we had a lot of fun through the late 90s and the 2000s.
Welcome to the end times, boys and girls. We're gonna shock the house, put your brain in the world. Bob is getting down with you here tonight. Bob is getting down to help your plight. Bob is coming here to ease your strife. Come on, suckers, let Bob into your life.
I am so sick and tired of looking at Bob's face. I did a radio show every week for 35 years and finally got burned out on that. That was the Hour of Slack. All the stuff is still available on subgenius.com. Yeah, I was really good with HTML1. Our subgenius.com still looks like that.
That's really cool. Well, so on the topic of Devo, you told me about another project that you worked with them on, the Are You Experienced project.
Yeah, that had some funny stories.
You can just get your mind together.
Obviously, things went well with the first video, and so you guys decided to collaborate again, but it got complicated, of course.
Yeah, that was my first and only real big Hollywood job, and it taught me an important lesson. I'm not cut out for Hollywood.
Yeah.
It was really fun for me. I got to sit with Jerry, who was kind of co-directing the whole thing, at the casting call. Now, in the video, there's this supposedly a concert going on. Devo's floating up and down in these balloon outfits. That was tricky enough. They could only make one that really inflated. the flying rigs hurt the band. It hurt their butts and their nuts really bad. But the casting session was great. It was supposed to be this sea of identical blonde girls. Of course, they were mostly wearing wigs. But it was interesting to watch Jerry interview these girls one after another as they came in. And you could tell he was kind of waiting to see if they even knew who Devo was. The other emergency that happened on that was our storyboard, drawn by John Hagenbrenner. John drew this Jimi Hendrix coffin, because there's a scene in it where Jimi Hendrix himself jumps out of a coffin and plays a lick from the original Are You Experienced. They actually got that track. And we had Randy Hansen, the only professional Hendrix imitator I know of, doing Hendrix, and that was all great. But my friend John Hagenbrenner on the storyboard was supposed to say Jimmy on the coffin. Well, John wasn't that big of a rock and roll fan, and he spelled Jimmy the wrong way, Jimmie. Well, these prop people show up, and we're dying for, we got to film this stuff quick. It's $600 an hour. And the coffin shows up, and it's beautifully done. But Jimmy's name is misspelled. And we had to get the artists in there and repaint the whole thing. So the paint was drying when they shot the scene where the coffin actually rises up. Randy Hansen jumps out. He was as good as anybody at imitating Hendrix. I felt like I was there to sort of intervene with the angry ghost of Jimi Hendrix. It was really, really fun to do, because I was a Hendrix fan, I was a Devo fan, and it was just a great experience, aside from the fact that I'm a little too slow and slackful for Hollywood.
It's so funny to me. WASTOIDS is the sort of pop culture division of this company called Hello Merch. And so we use Slack, the app, to communicate. And I just think about how funny it is that this productivity tool, Slack, shares a name with the Subgenius concept of Slack, which is the exact opposite.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, they may be related. I really don't know. I know that the movie Slacker by Richard Linklater, that title very much did come from the Slack of Church of the Subgenius, because Slacker used to mean a draft dodger. And then I think we helped make it mean something else.
Yeah.
Some people think it means somebody who's just lazy and doesn't work and smokes dope and drinks beer, watches TV all day. And Slack can be that for lots of people. But Slack can also be working your butt off doing what you wanted to be working on. Which it is for me.
So much of what you guys talked about, from the concept of Slack to, just the whole pseudo-religion idea, to UFOs, to anything else, a lot of that's being discussed now in different ways than maybe it used to. It feels to me like things are getting progressively weirder in our world. Do you share that sensibility?
Well, we wrote down, we have all these predictions that we put into the book of the Subgenius and our various zines and things that depicted a world to come that was so ridiculously outrageous.
Sure.
Now it's a documentary.
Yeah.
Stuff that we thought was absurd then is normal now.
Right.
And that's a little weird, yes.
When you kind of look at the way you guys grappled with absurdity, do you feel like there's almost like some helpful, instructive qualities to what you guys
did? Yeah, beneath the BS, there's a lot of truth.
Right.
And the thing is, there are certain really ugly truths that people can only grapple with if it's couched in a humorous way, so that they can laugh at it rather than want to commit suicide. The Church of the Subgenius might have prevented the suicide of somebody who's going to do some really great things and save the world someday. We don't know for sure yet, but I do hear from people who sincerely say, man, you saved my life 20 years ago. I'm sorry I never sent you any money. Well, here's now that it's $50 instead of $20, here's the $50. I finally got a job.
It's like you said, though, you mentioned to the guys in Devo that essentially, they help save your life. And I do think that it's probably a little bit presumptuous to walk around assuming that what you're doing is all that important. But it is also really cool when it turns out that it kind of was, you know what I mean?
Well, it certainly surprised Philo and me. And it wasn't just us. Keep in mind that Subgenius was a huge collaborative. Well, it still is. We kind of let anybody take the ball and run with it. All the bands where the members wear costumes and have funny names. I opened for Guar several times. And Mojo Nixon was friendly with us, and the Talking Heads in David Byrne's movie, True Stories, there was actually a Subgenius scene, but when the Hollywood backing came in, suddenly they were going, oh, these guys don't have a track record. We don't trust Stang to do the collage slideshow in the background because they don't care about trademark and copyright, which is not true. Actually, a lot of stuff in our material that looks like it was wiped isn't. It's drawn by really good artists that know how to draw like goofy old clip art.
Yeah, that's cool.
We did start with goofy old clip art, but then we started creating it ourselves, you might say.
I got to check all that out. Reverend Stang, thank you for taking the time to chat with us about all this stuff. It's been a lot of fun catching up with you.
Thank you very much. I'm honored that you guys asked and that anybody remembers any of this. It's a pretty confusing world. It's all busy and crammed with stuff. But Devo and Church of the Subgenius we hatched from the same egg, you might say. They were a little older than us, obviously a lot more popular. Actually, the reason the Subgenius stuff is still kicking after 40 years is because it can't be popular.
Right.
As long as it can't be popular, it can still serve the function that it serves best, which is to reach the people who don't care about popularity, the people who are proud to be on the fringe. The only goth in Glen Rose, Texas might get into it, or the only punk in McCrory, Arkansas. I'm thinking of actual examples, but
right. Yes. Well, thank you for doing it, and thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it, Reverend Stang.
I'll give you the Subgenius salute on the way out. Price Bob. Hail Devo.
You are Bob. We are all Bob. We are all Devo. We are Bob.
Praise Bob. The fates have brought you into possession of a Subgenius instructional video barrage tape. Prepare yourself. You are about to be remade into a new being through forbidden knowledge previously kept secret for centuries by the jealous priesthoods of many religions. Caution. Improper viewing techniques may lead in some persons to dependency, seizures, cranial fits, priapic conditions, micturition, sternutation, several glandular mutations, and in some territories, legal arrest. However, if the viewer follows instructions and trusts completely in Bob, this tape can produce an unsurpassable beatific experience that can last for hours, days, weeks, possibly even centuries. This videotape bears a patented Dobbs-Drome PowerShell time code, which may cause some home video decks to react unpredictably. Although only a small percentage of playback systems or their owners have suffered permanent damage from this signal, the Subgenius Foundation Incorporated is not responsible for injuries or damages inflicted by paranormal events during tape play mode.
Spectrovision Radio.